Hello, this is Brian with Old Virginia Log Homes here in Lee County, Virginia, which is the very southwestern tip of Virginia, right where Kentucky and Tennessee and Virginia all meet. And I'm sitting on the porch of our distillery, Axe Handle, which is a beautiful location, but consequently, you might hear a little bit of road noise in the background. If you do, I apologize for that, but it's such a beautiful day, I just couldn't stand not being out here. But I'm not coming to you today to talk to you about whiskey. I'm actually wanting to talk about some of the conditions that we're seeing in the log home industry and in the construction in general, and some of the challenges that we as a company are facing, and that you as a potential home buyer and builder may be facing as well. And I want to preface this with saying that this is just our point of view. We do build homes all over the country, typically in the eastern side of the United States, but we'll be in Maryland next week. We'll be in North Carolina soon. We just got back from Kentucky. So we're seeing these same issues cropping up everywhere, seemingly. And most of this is coming from feedback from our customers. And I suspect that most of the builders out there are probably going to agree with some of the things I say. And if you don't, or you're seeing something differently, or maybe you have some specific questions, then by all means, please comment and let us know your thoughts and feelings and what you're seeing. But again, it is just our point of view and how we're perceiving things, but it's coming from 40 years of experience. We've done this once or twice, and it's an odd time to say the least. Things are really shifted from what they were a few years ago. And of course, we can all speculate why, and there's no mystery in a lot of it. But undoubtedly, the number one issue that we're seeing in all of the trades is the lack of skilled labor. There simply is no younger generation that seems to be coming up in the trades like there were in years past. And we've been doing this for a long time, and we saw it coming for a long time, as I'm sure anybody who is in the industry has seen it coming for a long time. You can make a really good living as a carpenter, as a plumber, an electrician. You get a lot of job satisfaction, but uh, they're simply not coming up in the trades now, and we are really worried and concerned about where that's going, because this isn't a problem that can be fixed overnight. This is a problem that's going to take many years to fix, honestly, and almost a shift in our entire culture in order to get it done. Um, there, as a from a contractor's perspective, I deal with a lot of contractors all around the country, and most of them are well into their 60s. And I don't think that I work with one or even know one that's under 40. Now, I know they're out there and I know there are exceptions to the rules, but it's a real issue. And it's not just skilled labor that's hurting the industry right now, but it's all labor in general. And we've seen this in our daily lives. But pertaining to us specifically, we have trouble getting lumber, for instance. When we order lumber, it will be weeks or even months delayed. And that is almost always the result of a lack of labor for that business. And it's not a simple answer. A lot of folks will say, well, they need to pay the sawmill workers more. Well, it doesn't necessarily work that way if they want to stay in business, because you wouldn't be able to afford lumber if they just pay them an infinite amount of money to do these jobs. And inflation inherently takes a little time to work itself out, which we're definitely in an inflationary period. But those lack of labor positions being filled are what is hurting us personally. When we order bolts or we order screws or we order caulk, they could be delayed because the manufacturer hasn't been able to manufacture them due to a lack of labor. The delay in shipping could be there because they don't have enough people in the warehouse to fill the orders. And the shipping itself could be delayed because there's not enough truck drivers. It's a real challenge from us for a company's perspective. And we're handling it pretty well. And we have been blessed to have a staff where most of us have been here for decades, and a really dedicated workforce who are very skilled at their jobs. And we can't say enough good things about them. But even we are suffering a little bit from a labor shortage, in the sense that we used to have a crew that would go set the homes and a crew that would cut out the homes, and very rarely would they swap jobs or do a little bit of both. But now we're having to combine some folks from both, which has slowed down our process a little bit and made it a little harder for us to plan as well. That means, as a customer or a home builder, that you may decide to build your home, and you will go to order your block, for instance, and the block will simply not be available. It will be back ordered for 3 weeks or a month. Or maybe you'll order concrete, and what normally would have been just a day to get the concrete there is now potentially weeks to get the concrete there. And it may be forms for your wall if you're not doing block work. It could be anything. So we're seeing a big slowdown in the production, and consequently, I would say that almost 100% of our customers are missing their scheduled delivery days. And we can appreciate that. We understand the difficulties that everyone's facing right now. So we don't let that bother us. We just know that we all have to work together to try to get these things addressed and do the best we can. So I think that we and our customers, right from the get-go, we approach everything with a very vast sense of patience and understanding, because we know that the customers are having a hard time out there, and consequently, so are we. However, we seem to be mostly staying on schedule. We're barely holding in there. So if you are working with us, or you're thinking about working with Old Virginia, we seem to be maintaining. And folks ask us all the time, how long would it take for delivery from beginning to end? And the answer is, we're still probably only 12 to 16 weeks out. But I only say that knowing that almost all our customers are going to miss their date. So it's like a big game of musical chairs to us at this point. So those shortages of materials, those shortages of labor, and all the difficulties we're facing, that's one problem. The next problem is that despite the interest rates going up, it hasn't really slowed down interest at all. And in truth, the interest rate's still way lower than it was in the 80s. But the demand is still high, and actually maybe even accelerated. And unfortunately, it's for all the wrong reasons in our minds. What we're seeing is we typically build primary residences. Very seldom do we build a second home or a vacation home. We certainly do from time to time, but for the most part, most of our customers are building their one dream home, and they're planning on going to live in that home. And we are witnessing a lot of folks that are accelerating their retirement plans as far as building their home on the remote piece of property, or potentially they are starting to work remote from home, which is allowing them to get out into the country or a rural area like we are, and purchase land, typically for much less than they can get land for near a major, urban area. And those people seem to be running from the cities, and they all seem to have a lot of the same concerns and fears. And we're not here to talk politics or anything like that. I'm just telling you the reality of it is that we are seeing a migration out of the cities for the folks who are able to do it. And what that means for you guys is it's just one more thing that's going to put pressure on your build. So the next question, of course, is what can you do as a homeowner, as the person who's going to be building a home? What can you do to make it better? Because I've painted a pretty gloomy scenario here, so let's spin a little positivity on it. You can get it in your mind right now that you're going to approach this project with a very big sense of patience, and very much able and willing to roll with the punches, because you're going to get punched a few times. You are going to have delays. You're going to order your cabinets and your windows, and they're going to tell you 6 or 8 months for your cabinets or your windows to come. And, and 10 years ago, we would tell folks that you could typically move into your home in 6 to 8 months. Now, I would say that it's pretty tough to do that. It's usually more like a year, and that's almost always from these delays that we're experiencing from the skilled labor and from the materials. But those delays can actually potentially be utilized by you in a way that will help you get your structure built. And that is to work with your contractors to fill in those gaps that they have. While they're waiting for those to be delivered, for the block to be delivered to build the foundation, or maybe they're waiting for trusses to be built for their floors, for whatever home they're building, they're going to have a gap. And if you can approach them with the idea that maybe they can work on your home in between the times that they're working on this home, just get it under roof, let it set for 2 or 3 months. Look, the logs have been out in the weather. They don't care. It's fine. Just get it under roof and let her go for a couple months. Then, they might be more willing to work with you, because this is a builder's market. And I have a lot of customers that are getting frustrated as they're searching for builders because they're making phone calls and the builders aren't calling them back. And it's because they've got a lot on their plate. And I think that a homeowner should approach those builders with a very polite but persistent manner, and just keep reminding these folks that you're here and you want to build a home and you want to work with them. And it's tough because there aren't that many builders, and you need to work with a builder that not only can do what you need them to do in a time that you can live with, which may be a little longer than you anticipated in today's world, but also that you connect with, that understands what your goals are and what your vision is. You may be the sort of person who wants a rustic log structure where you have hand hewing and you want your trim to be rustic, and they need to understand really where you're coming from. And you don't always connect with your builder, just like you won't necessarily always connect with every single log home company out there. Old Virginia may not be the right place for you. We certainly hope we accommodate anybody that comes to us, but we are a family business, and Judy started the company 40 years ago. She's still the boss, and Heather and I came down over 20 years ago to help out. And so, we are not a sophisticated or really formal company, I guess is what I'd say. When you call down to us, you can still talk to any of the three of us. We don't have salespeople. We don't have anybody that makes commission. So we're not that really rigid company. And, we go by first names. And at some point, you're going to be calling me on a Saturday night or a Sunday night and saying, "Hey, Brian, I want blah, 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 or I need to understand this, or how did you do this piece of trim," or whatever it may be. And I'm going to be there and answer the phone. Now, that sounds really good. I think most people probably like that approach, but some people might want something that seems a little more formal than what we do. And we understand that. They may want something different than what we do. We don't do big, huge, round Western style seated, like Swedish style with a cope in there. We don't do those types of logs. We do a very true to Appalachian style log. So it may be that we just can't provide what you want. And that's okay too. But the point of it is, not everybody's going to be a fit. So when you find that contractor that you really jive with, you're going to have to work a little extra hard to keep them on the hook, if you will, and know that you are serious about building and you want to work with them and you're willing to work with them on time in order to get this project done. Now, I would say the one other thing that you could potentially do as a homeowner is you could start yesterday, or a week ago, or a month ago. That is really one of the best pieces of advice I can offer. And that's not to put pressure on you to build tomorrow. That's to really get in your mind that everybody is behind, and even we are. We're seeing turnaround times on our plans extend out to a much longer time period than it used to be, because we have a lot of plans in the works. We have a lot of folks coming to us and wanting to start working. So if you think you're going to build in 2024, then you better get on it now, because this is the time. This is the time to start getting some rough grading done. This is the time to start getting your plans finalized and finished and working on them, because those turnaround times are greater than they've ever been. And having said that about the rough grading, it brings to mind that, you know, anything you can get done once you have your plans and you know what your footers are going to be, anything that you can get done today during your building process, you absolutely should. And that may be, of course, some things you can't. You can't dig a footer and not pour concrete in there, or else it's going to cave in and go bad. So you may not be able to do everything, but let's say you can do your rough grading today, then you should do your rough grading today, because that contractor may not be able to come back for months. And if you can do your foundation, then you should do it today. Maybe that's block, maybe that's poured walls, whatever it may be. If you can get it done and it can safely sit there and just wait for the next step in the process, then you should absolutely do that, because it's really tough to know when the contractors might be able to get you back in their schedule. So if you don't take it today is May 25th, if you don't do it on May 25th, it may be August 25th. So I can't emphasize enough, if you can do it now, then you should absolutely do it now. So I'm going to wrap this up by saying, you know, I don't want to discourage you in any way, shape, or form. Building can still be fun, but I think it can be fun when you adapt your mindset to know that this is going to be a positive thing. And as always, we are on the other end of the phone. You can pick up and call us and ask us any questions you have, no matter how small the question or how big the question. We'll spend as much time as we need to with you, and you know, help you any way we can. So guys, we appreciate it. Once again, from beautiful Lee County, we thank you for joining us. Sorry about the road noise, but it's beautiful out here. So give us a call, come see us, stay in our guest cabin, come check us out. Thanks, guys.